Getting ready to ream the hole here, and so this is a tapered hole, and I'm reaming it with a 6-degree reamer, and that's 6-degree included angle, so 3 degrees on either side. Little reamer that I'm using right here is, this one's made by Tim Manning. I also use the same thing made by Alia Bazzari, and they sell them if you're interested, or you can make your own pretty cheap. So now when I drilled this hole, I drilled it at 17.5. Let's make sure, 17.5, that's what it says. And to line it up as I'm reaming, if I set the bevel square on 17.5, I could read off of the center of the blade if the blade was perpendicular to the hole. I prefer to read off the front of the reamer. Now the reamer's at an angle, but it's a known angle. It's 3 degrees, it's half a 6. So I just subtract 3 from 17.5 and got 14.5, and I can put the bevel square right up against the front of the reamer along the siding line and make sure I'm right at the right angle. For left to right, so that gets the resultant angle. For the siding angle, I put up a tri-square and I line up 3 points. So I've got the line here, so I'll line up the line with the edge of the square and then look back at the point of the reamer and see where it sets. Okay, so now I'll start tapering. And I'll stop and read it and take a look at it. Okay, so I always say the direction I need to go in, so I need to take it left, and that's pretty good right there. Okay, overshot it just the least bit. Need to go back right about 1/4 of an inch or so. And that's still looking good. I'm going to pull it out and clean it. And might as well check my depth here. And I need to come through a little bit further. I need to come back just a smidgen, and I'm dead on it that way. That's nice. So I'm dead on it that way, and I could come back just a little bit. So let's check the leg again. Okay, that's sitting about where I like it. So on the plans, on the elevations on the plans, I show a chair made with the baluster turnings, and I've got a measurement that you can take with a pair of dividers along the siding line. But for the double bobbin, I don't have that, so let's just get something. Okay, so I like where that one is, and so I'm just going to set all the other ones at that depth. Let's see what that is. That is 11 5/16, right along the siding line up to that groove there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and taper all the other ones, and then we'll measure for the stretchers. see what I got here. Well, I stopped just in time, didn't I? Right on it. Glad I didn't take another turn. Now, that's the last one, and I probably failed to mention that the grain orientation on all of these is and I've gone over this numerous times in many videos, is always the growth rings are perpendicular. So the growth rings in the tenon are running this way. The growth rings are always perpendicular to the long wood fibers of the mortised piece, and that's because you're isolating the two planes that move the most and isolating the two planes that move the least for a better joint. So now I'll set up for measuring for the stretchers. Now I know where the legs are, and we'll get a measurement in between here, and we can turn some stretchers. Well, I'm going to measure for the stretchers. I'll measure for the side stretchers first. And so I could just put a rule up there right like that and measure them, but I don't know exactly where the center of the leg is in relationship to this leg. And so the way that I'm able to get that is if I just pop a rubber band on it, the sides of the rubber band give me a reference point, and then I can just put my pencil up and see exactly where the center is there. So then I'll mark it down in that groove, and come on. Okay. Now I can go after the right stretcher and left stretcher. So the right stretcher, I say left and right as I'm sitting in the chair. So this is the right side right here, and so this is where I can use the extension that's on the rule. So I just pop the corner of the rule right in the groove, push out the extension, and I've got 14 inches there. So I write down 14. Now on some of my chairs I have 1 1/8" tenons, but on these double bobbin turnings they're a little smaller, and I only go 1 inch on each one. So that would be 1 inch and 1 inch. So plus 2, that's kind of my kind of math right there. It gives me 16. Ain't got no fractions in it. Now let's come right here. So I've got, I can't see that, 14 and 1/8. So that's going to give me, with 2 inches, that'll give me 16 and 1/8. So the side stretchers are obviously pretty easy to figure. The center stretcher, and there's 1,001 ways to measure these things, but you got to do it one way. The center stretcher is a little more complicated to get. Now you could, tie a piece in the middle here and measure all that. But what I do it by math, and then I do a check on it. And I'm going to do this, write it down on here, and I'm going to transfer it to the blackboard up there to where you can see what I've done. But I'm measuring center to center now. So 15 and 1/8, or I'm going to change it to 16ths. And 12 and 5/8, 12 and 10/16, and then I'm going to average that. So 27 and 12/16, 6 and 28/16. So let's see if that's right. Yep, that's right. Okay. Now I'm going to divide it by 2, and 13 and 14/16. Now I'm going to go over to the board, the blackboard here, and show you what I've come up with on this measurement, and then we'll show you the check. Okay, so I measured center to center between the front legs, and that was 15 1/8, or like I said, I like to change everything to 16ths. And between the rear legs was 12 10/16. And that's 27 12/16. Now, I have to divide that in half, and my brain has a hard time dividing that odd number right there. So I change it to 26 28/16 divided by 2 equals 13 14/16, or 13 7/8. Now, that's still not the measurement we want. I'll show you what we've got here. So, there's the top view of the front legs, or the bottom view, I guess you'd call it. And there's the rear legs. So there's the side stretchers right there. We measured center to center and center to center and averaged it, which gave us that measurement right there. Okay. Now, this stretcher is 1 5/8 in diameter, which means 1 5/8 from there to there, which means we're halfway into it. So we've got a 13/16 tenon right now. We need 3 more 16ths to get 1-inch tenons. So 3/16 here and 3/16 here would give us what we want. So that's 3/8. So I'm going to add 3/8 to that, and I end up with 13 10/8 equals 14 2/8 equals 14 1/4. Now, you people that are watching this that use the metric system are probably wondering what kind of crazy tribe we are here, but that's what we do. Okay, now I'm going to show you the check. Okay, so it's been known to make a mistake there with that math, and it's a big mistake. It's not a mistake of a 16th or an 8th. It's always a mistake of a 1/2 inch or an inch, because I forgot to carry some, and it's sad when that happens. So I came up with this little check. Actually, it was passed down to me from the guy who taught me how to, come back here. The guy who taught me how to make chairs, Dave Sawyer. And if you've watched some of the other videos, you've seen it. I just twist the rubber band, make sure it's all free there. Okay. Now, I added 3/8. So if right where the rubber bands cross, so if you can see, they're in an X, and right where they cross is the center. But I added 3/8 to that. So if I put where the rubber bands cross at the 3/8 mark, I ought to read pretty close to 14 1/4. And right there it is, dead on it, 14 1/4. So that means that I didn't make any big mistake here. And I'll feel confident in turning the stretcher that length and putting it in the chair. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is find some stretcher material.